Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited about tonight because tonight you might want to say we look to the past, but we turn to the future because our guest is one of the most important links, I would arguably say, in backyard wrestling history to where we are today. You know, we talk about all these big super shows that have popped up here over the past year or so. Summer Bash, Riot in the Ring, the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Tournament, the Backyard Havoc, Devil's Playground, a Backyard Brawl. But you could arguably say that none of it would take place if it wasn't for, well, the Global Backyard Wrestling News Network. And our guest here was a huge part of that. And his humble beginnings started all the way back in 2007 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the woods behind the apartment complex he lived. And he was a juggalo. And who knows, guessed that would have led him from going to being a juggalo to being one of the very best to have ever stepped foot in the backyard wrestling circuit. He held championship after championship. He had war after war. Chris Castle certainly comes to mind, and one that also certainly is going to come to mind and come to its head, maybe rear its ugly head, next weekend in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he's going to be wrestling Marcus Centofonte, and he's going to talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about that Kurt Angle roast, and we'll talk about a couple of recents that have come on Sportswire Radio that have become institutions. And how about this guy I'm wearing a shirt of? Sean Jovi, America's resident rock star, a man that arguably is the last link of the Global Backyard Wrestling Network to be still in the yard relevant. And then, how about Remy Ravage? Remy Ravage, who's recently made a huge comeback in the backyard wrestling circuit. She's the XCW International Champion. I'm sure we'll definitely get a thought or two from our guest on that. And this guy who, by the way, came onto Sportswire Radio 2 weeks ago, who used to be Rad Hazard, but he goes by the name now Rad Dad Radley Belmont. By the way, he's only wrestled the Rock and Roll Express a few years ago. And by the way, has only been the GTS Intercontinental Champion and is feuded with the who's who of people throughout the independent wrestling circuit. But a who's who of other people in the GBYWN have also been a part of the independent wrestling circuit and been to other huge places. In many ways, they've been on prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the true biggest stage of them all. And our guest can talk about that. Our guest can also maybe give some insights on what he thinks about today's yarders and maybe some of the things that he and many of his brethren in the GBYWN had did. And where do we go from here with him? And is this it, or is there another left one or two in there? Who knows? Who knows? Whatever it might be. But I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we can never go forward without looking back to the past. But I know one thing, our guest will never be left behind in the past, because I'll tell you this, he might be friends who make media, and he might do a pretty good job in making that media. But I know one thing, he ain't far from done yet. Even though there was that video that circled a few weeks ago and on Sportswire and a few months ago with the old GBYWN mockery with Rad Hazard coming back there. But trust me, this community, we will do our best to continue to hold that torch and hold that torch to flame and make sure it burns as bright as could be, thanks to all those from the GBYWN over the past 15 plus years that have continued to do what they do best. And by the way, maybe we'll even talk about some of our guest music dalliations. I mean, we'll certainly dilly-dally in that. But, ladies and gentlemen, usually I give that big introduction, because after all, we're in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform, as I stated, where all wrestling matters. But unfortunately, my voice literally cracked yesterday, and I'm trying my best, as hard as I can, to keep up with it. So I'll do maybe sort of, I guess, a half of the usual introduction. I know I'm going to probably definitely disappoint our guest, because he will have to understand that I've done about 182 or 183 shows in 4 months, and I dare challenge anybody anywhere that has done that many shows. But I will say, though, we do have something for him tonight, which we will present in honoring of everything that he's done for us in the backyard wrestling circuit. And I'll do, I guess, sort of the introduction. It won't be quite what Sean Jovi gets. It won't be quite what Remy Ravage has gotten, or certainly Rad Dad, but I'll certainly make sure that he'll be known forever as the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be in the backyard wrestling circuit. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to finally have this man here, just days away from that historic GBYWN BYW Link reunion show. And ladies and gentlemen, let's get right to it. So without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, a true legend in the backyard wrestling circuit, a man that was an admin in the GBYWN, a man that has held belt after belt, traveled to place after place, from the humble beginnings of the Juggalo to a man that's even made music that Eminem and MC Serch would blush for. Maybe anybody else in between, Macklemore and any other rapper. Certainly he's got more game than Vanilla Ice, and he's got a lot more game than almost anybody else out there in the backyard wrestling circuit. He is the owner of Golden Triangle Media. His name is, simply put, Sic Ric. My friend, how are you?
Man, I'm great. And, don't do yourself any disservice. That was fantastic. That was nice.
Yeah, but usually I do 15-minute ones. We do intros like Michael Buffer, Bruce Buffer. But unfortunately, I had on a guest. I obviously wasn't one of the more memorable ones that have come onto Sportswire. Let's just say I did one of those, and it was like, oh, and then the whole day I've been basically not even talking, nothing, just to let me get through this interview. So I'm okay. I'm back to normal. That was the best I could do, and hopefully,
it was great. It was fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's not what I'm used to here. Not what I'm used to. Not what the audience is. But it's an absolute honor. And first of all, so nice to meet you. I obviously want to give a huge thanks to Sean Jovi, America's resident rock star, and Rad Dad Radley Belmont for the nice recommendations. And how you feeling here tonight?
I'm a little under the weather. I'm getting over a sickness, but thankfully we're on the backside of it because we've got a big weekend coming up here real quick. So I'm trying to push through. Just took a little medicine a little bit ago, and we're just fighting the good fight. Got a little scruffy, so I can let my barber take care of it before the show, and we're just ready, man. We're in chill mode.
What do you mean? You don't want to keep it till showtime with the beard? Maybe it gives you some extra, extra grit?
No, I got to have the barber take care of this. You know what they say, you feel good, you fight good. I got to look good.
Well, I haven't touched this in about 6 years, so let's just say that you might, by the grace of God, can go to the barber, but I don't think that my supporters would certainly be too thrilled about that, but that's okay. We are here nor there. We will certainly talk about that one day.